Hi, Simon Jacobson here, and welcome to another episode of Meaningful Live. This is a part of our ongoing series, What the Stars Say About You. The sign, the month of Taurus. Translated into English, Taurus is bull. In Hebrew, it's shar, sometimes also translated as ox. What's interesting is that when you look at this order of the signs, the previous month, Eris was ram or lamb, as we discussed in that part. So to really appreciate the personality type and the energy of Taurus, it would be good to contrast it. And here, to make it even more fascinating, this is the second sign of the constellations that began with the first Hebrew month, the first lunar month of the lunar year, Nisan, the month of Exodus, which is associated with the gentleness and the love of the ram, of the lamb, Eris, and that leads us to the bull, which is also another animal, but in this case, very different type of personality. So, by means of a short introduction, as I've spoken several times about this topic, the Zodiac and the different signs and constellations are a combination of forces that reflect that energy is time and time is energy, and that each energy, each period, has this particular channel and its window of opportunity and its particular complexion, which is the energy of that month, of that time period. And when you look at them all 12 of them, you come away with a tapestry, a type of harmony, each one complementing the other. So just let's use a simple example when it comes to life in general. The way life is structured is we are first born as children, nurtured, protected, loved, unconditionally validated. The security, the trust that's built up. And as children, we're on the receiving end of that love. And of course, we're talking about a healthy situation where all that is provided. That prepares the child with the resources and the tools and the confidence. As the child grows into adult, it can become a responsible, independent adult. And now, instead of just being on the receiving end, the child begins to give back, to carry the load. And not just the load be carried for the child. So the mystics explain that the same is true in the months and the signs. That the first sign is one, we talk about Eris, we talk about the ram, we talk about sheep, we talk about a lamb. You'll see that the relationship is you're not going to put heavy loads on top of that animal. It's mostly the shepherd nurturing and shepherding its flock. The bull, on the other hand, is, as one of the verses states in scriptures, it carries weight. It can carry a heavy weight, and it has that element of strength and power. In the sporadic structure of the 7 emotions, we talk first about chesed, about love and kindness, and then we talk about gvura, discipline, strength, restraint. And that's the shift from Eris to Taurus. That Taurus personality, after we've received the love and the nurturing, now comes the next step where we carry the load. The personality of the Taurus is the carrier, is the commitment, in context of emotional relationships, love and reverence, love and respect. Any good relationship needs both elements. Love is what creates closeness, intimacy, protection, security. But at the same time, you can also suffocate someone with love. And that's why you need to have boundaries, respect. A healthy relationship will always have a certain reverence and respect for the dignity and space of another. And there's nothing wrong is to stand even in awe of the mystique and the mystery. And you'll see a healthy relationship will have both. So Taurus introduces that strength, that power. Now you're ready to carry a load. So when it's combined with the previous sign, you have really essentially two personality types. So in our personal lives, we need both. We need to be recipients. We need the love, we need that support, but we also have to be givers. And we have to demonstrate that strength and that persistence. Now, if you have one without the other, you'll always have a compromise. Because strength can also go the wrong way. The bull is also known for its inflexibility, for its stubbornness. And that's why we need to understand the perfect balance. Stubbornness can be used for good when it's commitment, and you don't give up when it's difficult. It won't retreat. You'll see the nature of a bull is that it forges ahead, it drives forward. So in our personality types, the truth is we have all 12. No one person is only one, but the question is, what is the dominant gene, the dominant force in our lives? So let's speak about it in real time. You'll find when we face challenges in life, you'll see some people retreat. They don't like confrontation. They're pleasers. They're very much the Aries personality. But there are times that requires fighting for what you believe, standing up for it, a certain determination, certain drive, the bull within you. Then you have people who have that drive to the point they trample on others. That's why you'll find in Talmudic thought, there's the concept of the ox or the bull that attacks others, that has gored another. And there's actually the distinction between one who's done one goring and one who's become a gorer, meaning they've repeated and that's how their personality has become that aggressive. Very often psychologically, some people who are very aggressive, it's not because they're really aggressive, it's because they're protecting their own vulnerability. They've been hurt. You know, they say the porcupine has the sharpest needles and the softest underbelly. Sometimes to protect our own vulnerability, we project a tough exterior, armor, strength. So we see it can be distorted. At times it's necessary to protect ourselves. But a true relationship, you want to be able to have the humility and the balance. That at times you need to stand up and fight for something and not just retreat and not just give in and compromise. You need the bull in you. You need that driving force. Especially when you're dealing with forces that are trying to in some way annihilate or limit your potential, imposing themselves upon you. So you need that determination, that drive. But at times we need to also know how to yield, how to be flexible, how to be gentle like the lamb. So therefore, in that context, when you think of the months, the Exodus of Egypt is considered to be the loving act of the divine hand helping his children to free themselves from bondage. So we were on the receiving end, receiving this gift. But then comes the next month, and then comes Taurus, where there we have to demonstrate what we're capable of. So it's in a sense like Eris is more like the love that is bestowed from the top down, and Taurus is more the work from the bottom up. Refining ourselves, working on ourselves, introspection, commitment, taking upon ourselves the load, carrying responsibility. Especially in our day and age, it's so easy to live vicariously and to drop responsibility. You press a button, you get everything. But there's something, tremendous power lies in our capacity to generate something, to create something, to know that you have carried the load, someone has not done it for you. In education and inspiration, this manifests that you're teaching someone not just what to think, but how to think. You're empowering someone to initiate, to be proactive, to generate. And with that comes the confidence that you can carry the load. You can be bullish in that sense. With that driving force, with that power. So, as far as looking inside our own souls and our own psyches, Taurus teaches us the need to access that strength within us. That strength can be expressed in intensity, can also be expressed in very powerful restraint when necessary. And you'll see, like it is with every one of the features, every personality type, there are the challenges and the virtues. There's the ways that can express itself in a very powerful, positive way. It could also be destructive. As we see, as I mentioned, a bull could also trample, can also gore, can also be aggressive. So you need to know how to find the right place where to push forward and where to yield, when to hold them and when to fold them. And that's the wisdom of this sign. So if you have this, if you were born and you're connected to this period in time, and all of us as we travel through this period in time, this is the characteristic to focus on. Do you fight for values that you believe in? Or do you avoid confrontation? And when you do you do it with humility? With a gentleness as well, but still with firm. You're firm. You're not wishy-washy, not like the guy that says, I used to think I'm indecisive and now I'm not so sure. That you have a certain determination. It could be quiet. It doesn't have to be loud, it doesn't have to be aggressive, it doesn't have to be imposing and dominant, but it has to be solid, like a bull. And once we're able to access that part of ourselves, you'll see that you'll be able to achieve many things in life. Many of us, as I said, retreat, shrivel in fear, cower, either because we may have been criticized or we just don't like to ruffle other feathers. But the intention here is not to ruffle. The intention here is to stand up for things you believe in. It's a critical piece that many of us today are lacking. I remember reading an article. They probably still have these retreats. These like masculine retreats. I think it was called Iron John back in the time, where men would come together for a weekend and wear skins and sweat and get back to that primal masculine energy. Not to be wimpish, not to be emasculated, grunting, sweating, climbing a mountain. So after one of these weekends, an executive comes back to his office and he's sitting and talking and he says, this was a tremendous weekend. It was very expensive, but I went and we sweated. I really connected to the man inside me, something that I lost for a long time ago. So he happened to run a company, which was a construction company. So one of his workers says, boss, if you want to sweat, you don't got to spend all this money. Just come down to our workplace and you can sweat with us. So his boss says to him, "No, I don't really have the time for it. I scheduled a certain weekend. I carved out time." And he says to his boss, he said, "Boss, if you sweat when you want to sweat, it ain't sweating at all." In other words, to plan sweating is meaning it should be part of your comfort zone. You also have a little sweating on your resume, in your repertoire. Is not the real thing. Sweating really means getting out of that comfort zone. To be a bull in the real way means to push something, not because it makes you comfortable, not because it's another quality that you can check off and say, now I have that as well. It really means you're a fighter when you need to fight. But a fighter does not mean a fighter that offends. That doesn't mean a fighter that hurts others. It means you stand for something, you believe in something, and you're driven to do it, and you own it. You own it. That's what Taurus is. You own it, and you make sure it happens. And that's a feature that each of us has to access and each of us has to reveal within our spirits. And this is the time of the year when the channels, when that window of opportunity opens up. And now we have to do our part. So on a very practical level, find something you believe in. And on a daily basis, do something in that direction. Share something kind, but do it persistently. Taurus-like, bull-like, consistent. Do something that takes you out of your comfort zone. There's a time to receive, a time to be nurtured, there's a time to nurture others. When you act on it, it draws out that energy. It's like exercising that emotional muscle within you of gvura, of that strength, of that intensity. And that in turn opens up channels of intensity from above that bring us and shower upon us tremendous blessings, the Taurus-like blessings. Thank you so much. This has been Simon Jacobson. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Every month we'll be covering one of these signs. The next one following next month, Gemini. And you can watch the previous ones. Just go to our YouTube channel. MeaningfulLife.com is our website, Meaningful Life Center. I'd love to hear your feedback, your thoughts, your comments, your suggestions, your critique. And please share. As I said, subscribe and share. And do so with intensity. Do so with commitment. Do so with carrying the load. Be blessed and be well. Thank you so much.